This is another musical interpretation and criticism of my music. This one particular one is called Ode to John Keats. It was published on February 21st, 2015, and Angel Marion will help me with this interpretation. It's a 20-minute long song, and I believe it's got a generosity in it, which makes it seem like a parent, as if the parent was giving a kind of blessing to the child who might be kind of like the listener in some sense, blessing you with more life. It has a way of stacking its gifts of like different kinds of melodies. Uh, and the music kind of, if music was a parent or is a parent, it really wants you to rock. It desires to be known and recognized, and its name, it needs to have its name recognized too, which is the Ode to John Keats music, I think. It's at least it sounds like that. The music calls out to be um, noticed, I think, in a good way, because parents, in this sense, um, are good parents. It has a kind of hesitation and questioning um, about why the listeners isolate themselves so much. So it's actually talking about isolation in an anti isolation way. It's pretty much for a kind of group guidance, if you want to call it that. But when I think about the word alone, sometimes I think about the the phrase in Lord Byron's poem called "On This Day I Complete My 36th Birthday," where he talks about him being as alone as some volcanic isle. Emerson also was interested in solitude too. He would write the word whim above his doorpost of his room so that his family didn't disturb him. But this is actually anti solitary, anti isolating music, I think. I think it calls out in a good way, um, in its triple rhythm waltz way. It's got a triple rhythm, a waltz rhythm. It also has it's a little like Pericles' daughter in Shakespeare's play Pericles, who helps him guide him to recognize her as his daughter since they've been distanced for so long. It's a little sad, this music, in the sense that people don't know it yet, and there's a stern. When I think of parents, I think of a stern-faced parent or a normal-faced parent. This also connects to the Godhead of the Ein Sof of the Kabbalah, where there's two different kinds of like ways of parents' faces, the easy face and the stern faced. Um, I think of it as kind of like Isaac's blessing to Jacob in one way. If you listen to the music, it's kind of shows a little bit of Jacob's joy through his that he deceived his dad in order to get the blessing. But it's a little different, but still it's there. There's a sense of victory and love and a sense of hope. Samuel Johnson called hope delusive in one of his poems, but I don't think this is definitely not a delusive hope that this music shares. It's a parental kind of hope, kind of in the sense of Walt Whitman's parents. In his poem, there was a child who went forth, where the parents are raise the child to learn that the child becomes whatever that child beholds. So the child becomes the projection of what's out there in the world. It absorbs internally. It also relates to maybe not, but I'm going to put this down anyway. But Wallace Stevens' father in the in his poem Auroras of Autumn, a little bit because he fetches dancers to dance to music. So he cares about his family, but he's a little different though in this. It's kind of like the parent is trying to get you to wake up into a life from a kind of like your sleep in life. So it's almost even like a resurrection kind of, or a Gilgul or transmigration of the souls in the Kabbalistic sense. I'm not sure if it's an actual resurrection, but in symbolic ways it could be. It has a lot of confidence and it has a lot of guidance in a good way. So it is like a good parent, but it connects to Harold Bloom's idea of the anxiety of influence by being so where the parent poet looks forward in time to the son or daughter poet, and gets that there's a relationship between them that creates a kind of anxiety, because there might not be as much space to be the next person to be as creative. But that's because what's been said by the parent is already full of wonder, and it wounds the child in some sense that there is not enough space. So that's an anxiety that gets created. But it is like the Ein Sof of the Kabbalist, where there's 10 Sephiroth in that diagram. Um, Two important ones in this music, I think, are Din and Hesed, the love and the power aspects of the Godhead. It also kind of relates to Meno from Plato's dialogues, where there's a joy of discovery on your own, that you can actually think for yourself. And so it's the self as the only method. It's kind of better than cheerleading. And there's also a sense that it's kind of like the David Lindsay's Voyage to Arcturus fantasy, where shaping actually takes the character Crag through a water, but instead everything's looking bright for this person as if it's the afterlife. But then the moose pole fire comes up, but the moose pole fire is actually a good thing. So this is the most important part. From 1340 on, the 13 minutes and 40 seconds into the melody is the best part. There's a high achievement and even an anxiety because of its success, I think, as a melody that gets transferred to the listener. And when I think of the word success, I think of Shakespeare's own successes in his life, and also think of the Lincolnshire poetry by an anonymous poet, where he says, "Success to every gentleman who will not sell his deer," D-E-E-R. The Anxiety of Influence was written by Harold Bloom. It's a book of literary criticism about relationships between father and son or father and daughter poets. And this finally calls to mind Hamlet, the ghost scene where he suggests a kind of hope for justice to be served. But this is not a revenge music at all. It's a guidance kind of tune. Thank you.